Let's figure this out.
First,
All
make
right.
sure that you have it opened on your computer.
I have it open on my computer.
Okay, now if you go to the bottom of the screen of the Zoom screen,
Hmm.
look for the share screen, the little green,
Yes.
and select that.
Okay, I select that.
Do you see your desktop?
Yes. And then let's see, share. Okay, can y'all see it now?
Yes, I
Yes,
see it.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Excellent. Yes. So you can see my strong feature is not technology, but it's okay. I'm learning. All right. So the name of my company is Life Lovers Balance, and it's a health and wellness company. I started back in 2016, and I will what basically would be talking about the circadian rhythm. So I need to cover that part and how we can incorporate our nutrition to help us, as well as a few other tips. And each screen is going to go over each one, and then I'll do a few stories and things like that. And of course, have any questions you have at the end, be more than happy to share that as well. Okay, so flowing with your circadian rhythm. Like I said, my name is Aranda Young, certified integrative nutrition coach and founder of Life Lovers Balance. So what we're going to be covering this evening is a brief overview of the circadian rhythm and its importance of our overall health, explanation of how the diet can influence our circadian rhythm, and also some tips and hacks how to promote healthier sleeping habits. So let's let's first discover what the circadian rhythm is. So the circadian rhythm is a natural in, I'm going to slow down, mental progress that regulates the sleep and wake cycle and repeats roughly every 24 hours. It is influenced by internal factors such as light and dark. And I'm going to see if I can bear with me for a second. See if I can switch this so it'll be okay. All righty. Okay. So let me go to the next screen. So some food for thought. Best healing and preparing time for our bodies are between 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And a lot of people don't realize that. So when we go to sleep in that time frame, our bodies are healing the best. Now, between 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. is the transitioning of our awakeness to light sleep to preparing us for deeper sleep. And during the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And a lot of times, and most people, and you probably can relate to this, a lot of us wake up between that 2 or 3 o'clock window, and they're like, why can't I go back to sleep? Sometimes you may have like thoughts and something that's like just reoccurring. Sometimes you may want to just keep a notepad near your bed so that way you can actually do some writing and some thoughts that may need they call it brain dumping, that just need to get those out. So sometimes it's, and it's the Lord might be nudging. You might have a creative idea. A lot of times, those are the reasons why you wake up in between that 2 and 3 o'clock window. But it is a crucial time period for our physical and mental consolation. Here's a chart that just kind of gives you an overview of the circadian rhythm and how it actually flows in those 24 hours. So our melatonin is secreting right at 9 p.m. And the next screen will actually, I'll go in a little bit more detail as far as that, but it's important to, when that time frame comes, to actually dim the lights and things like that. And the next screen will actually go a little bit more deeper in that. But this just shows you how it's a cycle where it flows from that time frame. So like 6 a.m. all the way back to, again, 6 a.m. It gives you a good idea of how your day should be flowing from that point. And it's like, of course, we all like to sleep like a baby, don't we? So Here's some of the foods and habits that actually disrupt our sleep. So I like to, as far as the problem, talk about the problem and then have a solution. So that would be the best thing as far as on that. So here, junk food, of course, you don't want to eat junk food late in the evening. And if you want to monitor as far as limiting how much junk food, as far as the potato chips, Cheetos, all those things, they're really not good for our digestive system and our gut health. So fatty foods, greasy foods, but you definitely do not want to eat those in the evening time. And same thing with, and I really probably don't even have to tell you about as far as energy drinks. Everybody knows that you don't want to have an energy drink in the evening. But the best time to actually stop caffeine as far as coffee, teas, and something of those sorts, you want to stop at noon. You don't want to really have anything past noon as far as any of those type of energy drinks or any that's caffeinated, because it actually affects our circadian rhythm where we cannot actually rest very well. And the same thing with the sugary foods. It actually spikes our blood sugar. You may not notice, but whenever we have a sugary snack, it's in our bloodstream for a minimum of 4 hours. So when you have have that chocolate late at night, and you're like, why can't I sleep? That may be the reason why. And the dry food, as far as your dry fruits, the reason why that's part of it because it's high as far as in the sugar intake, where if you have a fresh piece of fruit, it's going to be a lot better for you. So you can have like some fruits, and it depends on you if you are diabetic or not, but you can have some fruits as late as like 8 in the evening. I wouldn't eat a lot either way. So I was like, oh. So these are the foods that you want to limit to not have it all. So just, moderation for everything, but the sugar and all those type of foods you want to limit as much as possible. So here are some tips for a great night of sleep. Great. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but pistachios actually promotes our sleep. I didn't know that many years ago. And I remember I'll be in my car, I'll be popping up those pistachios, and about 10 minutes or 15 minutes later, I'm like, why am I so sleepy? Didn't realize that pistachios actually get you to promote your sleeping. And it only takes 2 Brazilian nuts. That's enough psyllium that actually enhance your sleeping as well. So if you feel like you need a little something extra, pop in 2 Brazilian nuts and it'll put you right to sleep. Now, this is what I was saying as far as with our melatonin, shut down all your electronic devices before or at least by 9 p.m. And I know we all guilty of it. We have that cell phone and we have our laptops and we'll be on there and be late and late. And next thing you know, it's like 10:30, 12 o'clock and you're still on your computer. I even have a client. Yeah, he's changed his habits now, but when we first met, I said, "Why are you always so tired?" He was like, "Well, I was up till 1 o'clock, emailing my clients." I'm like, "Do you really think you should be doing that at 1 o'clock in the morning?" So I said, well, this is what actually will help you get to that point where you can get in bed in a better time. So I advised him, I said, 15 minutes every evening, try your best to get to bed 15 minutes earlier. So now he has more energy. He's very grateful and he actually changed his eating habits and it's been amazing. So he doesn't text anybody or email anybody after 10:30. So I was like, well, that's a start. So he said he tries his best to get in bed by 10. So I'm very proud of him on that. So by 9, you want to dim your lights. This helps as far as increase your natural melatonin and prepare your mind, your body, and spirit for the night. Also, when the nightfall, as far as, and it's, of course, it's like now, it's getting lighter, longer. So that can change. But the nice thing is you can take your phone, your computer, and you may already know this, and all your devices and put it on the blue light. That's going to be more, that's going to protect your eyes better. And also, they have glasses that has the blue light protection as well. And you can get those at Target. TJ Maxx, I actually got like 4 pair of TJ Maxx. They had two pack for like $10. So I make sure I have it in each room. So when as far as if I'm on a computer, I have that protection to protect my eyes as well. And a nice thing as far as with almonds, if you're feeling stressful and you're just having just one of those days, we all have them, a handful of almonds will actually calm you and relax you. I have one of my family friends had, an argument with one of her friends, and she was just all riled up when she came to the house. So I said, "Stick out your hand." I said, I put some almonds in her hand. I said, "Have a nut." So she bust out laughing. And from that point on, she was like, "Okay, now I get it." So she has almonds. Whenever she gets stressed, she has little almonds. And salmon is actually good for increasing your sleep as well. It has serotonin as well as melatonin in there. And I'm not sure how that happens, but it does. Now, this piece here, and I'm going to just briefly talk about it because, that's that nutrition that's kicking in. This piece is a farm raised. So this, you can see where it has a lot of that white fat in there. You want to get wild caught, and you also want to make sure that it doesn't have a lot of that fat in there. And another indication, when you're cooking it and it look like it has a lot of white paste on there, that's the fat. And they're when they're farm raised, they're in a real close net and in the water, and they can't swim a lot. They can't, it's not good for the environment. So, or good for them as well as the environment. So you definitely want to do wild caught. And I'm just gonna, that was only briefly. So this is what I was saying about the fruit. Now, like with bananas are great as far as helping you with your sleep. But if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, you definitely don't want to eat them very ripe because it will spike your sugar. And kiwi has a tendency of doing that as well. But other than that, they're great far as to get you in that calming state. And cherries is wonderful as far as to help you with your sleep, as well as tart cherry juice is very good for that as well. And if I'm a tea, I love tea. Have a whole cabinet full of tea. My daughter can tell you that. She was like, we gotta condense this down a little bit. But chamomile is one of the best herbal teas for relaxing and getting you into that calm state. And they have so many different teas. They got the sleep tea. They even have the teas as far as even for the for your immunity and things like that. But there are a lot of them. So you want to get ones that are either decaffeinated or caffeinated free would be ideal. Also will help as far as relaxing reading. Now, of course, with the family, that and when you can all get together and read, that is something really wonderful. But if you're an empty nester like myself, a good book at night will actually help relax you and getting you to that state of mind. And same thing with meditation. If you meditate in the evening as well as in the morning, that helps keep your mind clear and have that more closer connection with your Heavenly Father as well. And as I say, eat the best, save the rest. Leave the rest, excuse me. Eat the best and leave the rest. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should be a vegetarian because I'm actually a pescatarian. So I do eat fish. But as far as studies go, over the past 50 years, they have did studies that actually show over time, if you do more of a plant-based diet, you have a tendency of living longer, and your numbers, as far as your stat numbers, actually improves as well. And also, Netflix has a really good documentary on as far as "You Are What You Eat" is the title, and it's the twins edition. So it's probably maybe 6 or 7 episodes, and it actually shows how all their stats had changed over the period of time. I think it was a 6 month time frame. But check it out. It's really good if you have Netflix. And also YouTube has a lot of documentaries on there, as well as Tubi. I think that's another one that has a lot of documentaries on just overall health and wellness. So that's my time. So I'll have anyone that has questions, and let's see, back to there. All righty.
Well, thank you, Coach Aranda. That was an excellent talk
Thank
and a
you.
good review for me, and filled in some knowledge base that I'm going to be using. So if you have a question for Coach Aranda, please unmute your mic, and we'll have you ask a few questions.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Hattie Blackman. I don't have a question, but I really have thoroughly enjoyed this because I'm a diabetic, and I had no idea that if I ate a piece of cake, that it would stay in my system for 4 hours.
Mhm.
I understand now why my blood sugar is elevated in the mornings. I needed this
Mhm.
information 5 years ago. But thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.
I would like you just to explain for others, what is a pescatarian? There may be some people who aren't familiar with the difference
Oh,
between
sure.
vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian.
Oh, absolutely. So with vegan, I'll go through the three. So with vegan, this is my understanding. They said that they don't eat anything that has a face on it. So it's like, okay. And they used to say head, and it's like, well, head of lettuce, you know. So they said anything that has a face on it. So that means no meats, no dairy. That's completely far as with vegan. Vegetarians are not as strict diet. They'll have eggs, and as far as you know, any type of dairy and things like that. But and they just don't eat no meats at all. So even fish is not in their diet. Now with the pescatarian, I do eat seafood. I limit my shellfish, but I do eat as far as most of the fish, and I do my best to get wild caught and not farm raised. I think that pretty much, so that would be the difference. So as far as myself, I do eat dairy, limited dairy. Most of it's going to be nut based. So I don't like cow milk. I don't do cow milk or goat or anything like that. But I do as far as anything that's going to be a plant based. I don't think it's anything else. But yeah, just fish. Hopefully I covered it.
Oh yeah, I think that gives us a understanding of
Yes.
what you mean. And I had one other question I wanted to ask you. Oh, tomorrow we're going to have a presentation on stress. And when people are eating, I mean, when they're stressed, I know there's a tendency to eat. And some people may not realize that their cravings are due to stress. So
Yes.
can you give some ideas of things that people could watch out for? You know, suddenly you might start craving something, and what can they, if you have any suggestions, what can you do so that you don't eat those things that are being driven by your stress level?
Well, one technique that works for me, and I know we're all individuals and everything's going to be different from each person, but a lot of times if you just take some breathing techniques as far as just breathing in, holding it for a few seconds, and then breathing out through your mouth, at least 3 to 5 of those should calm you down. Um, and as far as anything as snacks, like I said, almonds is a great snack to calm down. Some fruit will actually give you that satisfaction of the sweetness as well. Um, yeah, trying to think of anything else, but yeah, that would be just sometimes taking a walk if you have that ability to just take a walk out in nature, even if it's in your neighborhood, just
I
to clear your mind. Mhm.
Okay, thank
I
you so
do.
much. So we'll hear more about stress management, some tips tomorrow. So
Can I ask one more question, please?
Yes.
sure.
You said you're a Pescatarian. How do you spell that word? I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. That's a good question because I know it's PES and I guess I could Google it.
Okay.
ESCA
I never heard of that term.
TARIAN. I am one
Yes,
as well.
thank you.
Can you just put that in the chat, please? If you see the
Absolutely.
chat,
Thank you.
and then people could
Uh,
investigate that.
Mhm.
This
So
is Edwina Richmond. I just have a question. I've been trying to develop a taste for salmon, but I really like flounder. And is that a fish, or are there any other fish that you could recommend besides salmon that help you with sleep?
Um, it helps with sleep. That's the only one that came up on the list. But another good
Okay.
choice as far as fish would be
I can give you some ideas. Tuna is a good one, but you know the
cod is a good
problem
fish
with
as well.
cod,
Oh,
tuna,
okay.
but tuna is you have to be careful if you are getting tuna because it's high in mercury. And halibut, that's a good fish for sleeping. So that gives you those three things: halibut, cod, tuna, salmon. That's four different types of fish that you can have as a snack.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think we're going to go
I had
now
a quick
to, well, if you could hold that, because I want to make sure we have enough time for Miss Ramos to do her presentation. And then if you can hold the question, we're coming back for a Q&A afterwards. But we don't want to miss Miss Ramos. She's the only expert I know who's a plant-based milk expert. And I would love for her to share her knowledge. And so let me just tell you a little bit about her. I became aware of her when I was in the Washington, D.C. area for a conference. I needed to have some fresh juice. I juice every day. It's anti-inflammatory and it's a great way to get your vitamins in. But I was in a hotel. My husband found Anna's Market right down the street from our hotel, and she made me a fabulous smoothie. When I looked at her website, I found that she has lots of plant-based milk, which is a dairy alternative. Nobody in my household drinks milk. We've been plant-based for milk substitute for as long as I can remember. Our daughter is allergic to the milk protein, and my husband is lactose intolerant. I don't drink the milk because it's just too much trouble to be the only one in my house drinking dairy. So if I do, I have certain ones that I will drink. So I'm usually plant-based. Sometimes we run out of our milk. And so it's good to know how you could just make some of your own. But I never realized the variety of seeds, nuts, and grains that can be used to make a very tasty milk. And one of them that I'm very interested in, and I know it's not on your menu, is the flax milk. I'm going to put that recipe in the Post Health Summit resource guide. So if anybody wants to try it, you can have that along with the profiles of our speakers and how you can get in touch with them. So a little bit more about Ms. Ramus. She is the CEO of Anna's Market in Washington, D.C., and she works there with her husband. I'm so honored that she could find time to come and be with us. She has a family, and some of us know what it's like to have little ones at home. So if they jump into the video, don't panic. It's something we all know. Children will come and we just incorporate and embrace them because children are a blessing to us. If there's more that you want us to know about you, Ms. Ramus, please feel free to share it with us. I am going to turn the mic over to you now. Oh, one more thing. During the talk, it's being recorded. If you could just hold your questions till the end, it makes a much better recording for your replay, the people who couldn't come, and for the transcript that's being recorded as the program goes along. So thank you for muting your mics now.
Good evening, everybody. It is an honor to be here with you all. I want to thank Dr. Stubbs for allowing me to use this platform to tell my story. So I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to, hold you long. I want to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully I won't have issues as well. Let me see here. Okay. Can you guys see anything yet? No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see the closed caption.
Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
Not
Is it
yet.
still not working there? Okay. Alright. Okay.
You check to see if you see share.
See share and then it goes away.
Okay, yeah, try to hit the share button because that's what I did and that it popped up.
Okay. Open system settings. Okay. Share sound. I'm not allow Zoom to share. It's not. Let me see here.
Let me make sure that, yes, you are as a co-host. And
It's saying share and it's not allowing me to it's just taking me directly back to Zoom here. And I don't know, maybe because I'm on an Apple, I don't know if Apple operates different.
no, because I'm on an Apple too. So
Okay.
if you just hold on a second, Reverend Stubbs is going to come on and see if he can walk you through that.
Okay.
So you are a co-host, and you have the video on your screen. Is it open on your screen?
Yep. So I can see everybody that are, attendees. And I see the share screen.
Can you see your video on your screen?
Yep. It just keeps popping up as separate.
So if you see your video, when you go to share screen, when you select the green button at the bottom of your screen, do you still see do you see your desktop with lots of little things that are opened now? I think I lost you.
Uh-oh.
Ms. Ramos, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you guys. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, we can
can.
hear you.
Okay. I go over went away. I saw you guys. I'm not sure if it's the connection, but yeah, when I click to share, it is I'm clicking the green button that says share screen at the bottom. When I click to share, it's taking me to a separate screen where I can share my desktop. When I click to share the desktop, it just takes me to the video, but it's just looking like it's not sharing it with you all though.
It's taking you
So
to it's taking you to your to the video you want to show us.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or even to the slides or anything, it won't even, like, I can see my desktop, but it's looking like it won't show it with you guys.
So Ms. Ramos,
So the only option.
Can you Ms. Ramos, can you put that link to your video in the chat? And then I'll ask Reverend Stubbs
Okay.
to look in the chat and see if you can get the link, open up the video, and share the screen like you do for your students. And while he's doing that, we'll go ahead and are you able to open up your slide presentation?
It's open. That's this, I don't know, it's open, but it won't open in Zoom. So let me see if I can share the slide presentation there. If I share it here in Zoom, would I be able to just present it? If one of you all can open it as a moderator?
Well, you're the co-host, so
also-
you should be able to open it, but you go ahead and open it on your desktop.
Okay.
And then when it's open on your desktop and you select share screen, look for your slide presentation, click on the presentation, and then in the bottom right, there should be a blue share button. Click that.
Yeah.
And if you put that link in the chat, we'll show the video after your presentation. We'll just reverse the order.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Share this. And this is a file, so I'll just put the file in the chat. I'm sorry about this, guys. I've been able to.
Not a big deal. It's going to work out.
Thank you.
Okay. Were you able to copy the link into the chat?
Yeah, it wasn't, it's like a video, it's slides. So it's not allowing me to.
Well, how about if you just
Yeah.
talk to us and tell us what you know and your personal experience, and we'll just
There we go. I think it's working here now.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Finally. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So it is uploading in the chat. And if you want me to continue to, speak to what it is, the video is, on different slides. I don't know if you'll be able to see what are in the slides. But again, my name is Alexia Ramos. I'm the owner and founder, along with my husband, of Anna's Market, the plant-based milk and smoothie company in Washington, D.C. We're located in Washington, D.C. Yeah, it won't send. So what started us was basically this, like many other business owners, our story started from the need to provide an alternative to dairy formula for our children. So I have 3 children. I have a child that is 16, 14, and I have a now 6-year-old. So all 3 of my children had very negative side effects to dairy milk. So I was able to breastfeed each child once I gave birth, but once it was time for me to go back to work, I could not continue that option. So I had to switch to the formula. As a young working mom, I was in the IT department. And so I worked around all men, and then there were just no accommodations once I got back to work. So the breast milk had to cut off. But when I switched to the dairy formula, there was so many issues. I was up all night with all 3 of my children. So I didn't get sleep during the first year of infantry. There was projectile vomiting, there was colic, there was skin breakouts, there was constipation. And so by the time I got to Mrs. Anna, I could not do it anymore. So I had to start looking up alternatives and trying to find a way to mitigate the problem. And so that's when the research began, and I started to make plant-based milks. And I started off with the milks that were in the store. But even with the store milk alternatives. I found with all the preservatives and all of the emulsifying agents and everything that is the gook that's in that stuff, some of those were still making her sick. So it was important for me to know what was going in and what was going out of the milk. So the best option was for me to make it at home. And so that is how the first milk that we created was born, which was our coconut hemp milk. And the coconut hemp milk was born because I needed something that was going to give her all of her nutrients so that she would not be made when she was a child, so that she could grow. So the coconuts were high in the vitamin E, high in calcium. The hemp seed was high in the omega-3 fatty acids. And I also added the Irish moss. I don't know if you're familiar with sea moss, but it contains 92 of the 102 minerals that the body needs to function. So I added that to the milk. And then I sweetened it with dates. Dates are high in magnesium. And they're also high in other nutrients, high in fiber. And so she was still getting all of the nutrients that she needed from the milk that we made. So once I made that milk, we moved on to the next option. I started making banana milk. Then I made quinoa milk. Then I made the plain hemp milk. Then we made plain young Thai coconut milk. I've made mature coconut milk. So we've explored a lot of different plant-based alternatives. And I've realized that somebody has to have an advocate out there for people that were dealing with the same thing that I was dealing with. And unfortunately, this journey did not start for me until my children were born, because dairy didn't bother me. I didn't think so at the time. So of course, with me, I kept saying, oh, well, it doesn't bother me. But when, if you have children, the first thing that you want to do is protect them and you want them to feel better. And so that is why I got in the fight. And I am a firm believer that if everybody does their part, even if it's in the smallest way, that we can make a difference. And so when I found out the disparities, the racial disparities, that a large amount of Americans cannot digest dairy, they actually are completely lactose intolerant, and that this whole majority of population is just being ignored. And my children were included in that population. So I immediately got to work, and we created the Milk for Moms initiative, which was created in 2021 on the change.org platform. And in that petition, I am trying to reach, I've had conversations with the WIC office, with government assistance programs, and I'm trying to get a wider variety of plant-based milk alternatives in schools nationwide. Schools are only still offering dairy milk, 1%, 2% full fat skim. We're completely ignoring a whole group of people, which is a large amount of the population, including Asian, Latino, and African Americans that cannot digest milk. So we can get a wider variety of milks on the shelves in communities of color and in low income communities, and as a nationwide alternative. This should not just be something, if we can cover children that have nut allergies, we can cover children that have lactose intolerant and plant-based milk, dairy milk allergies. And so that is when we started that petition. And so then we kind of got on the road with it. And I had my kids out there. We have popped up and started doing our pop-up shops, which you would have seen all of this in the slides. But it was pictures of us at pop-up markets, and we have done pop-up markets all over DC. We've even traveled to Harlem, New York, and it was well accepted. So people love the milk. But then you have those group of people where it's like, oh, I don't like this stuff. It doesn't taste good. And I'm constantly educating things, the nutrients in our body. We need to partake in it because it's good for us. So hemp seed is good for us. We may not need to eat that because it tastes good. We want to eat that because we need it. We need the omega-3 fatty acids, just for example. So we started to travel, and then within the last year, we were able to acquire our first brick and mortar store. So we are excited about that. And we are in the community. We're right by the Washington Convention Center, and we're in a very mixed community. So we wanted to have close proximity to low-income communities as well, so that we could be there to educate and provide cleaner options. We make all of our milks in-house. And the reason for adding the smoothies was for people that couldn't take on the milk, or if they didn't want to drink it straight, you can put it in a smoothie, you can put it in your porridges, you can put it in your oatmeal, but as long as you're getting those alternatives. So just some of the milks that I wanted to go over with you today. I have to view here from my phone. She mentioned the flaxseed milk. We'll start with that, but flaxseed milk is a great alternative for people who have other nut allergies. So flaxseed milk is, of course, a seed milk. It helps with hair and skin. It helps with weight loss, and it's also another good source of the omega-3 fatty acids. So the flaxseed milk is a very, very good option. But for me personally, my family, what we use is the hemp milk. So there's still more information coming out about hemp milk as well. Hemp milk, I think this country has really demonized the cannabis plant. And so when people see hemp, they are afraid. They think marijuana. And they don't come from the same plant. It does not have the THC content that would make you get high or whatever that is. So the benefits that are in hemp milk are extremely good for you. So it's high in minerals, it's vitamin rich, it's high in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. It's high in protein and fiber. It also improves brain health. It increases bone density. So that was another thing, the coconut hemp milk, it is patent pending. So we're patent pending it as a multi-use drink. So we want to use it as a meal replacement. We also were trying to use it as a pre and post workout, and also baby formula, since I use that for my daughter. So we are in the fight of get rid of the fearing and get our government and then the other.
Okay. Ms. Ramos, can you hear us? Okay, while we wait to see if our connection will come, I'm going to see if I can show that video she was trying to show us. And
Can you guys hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Are you there?
Okay. Yep, I can see everybody.
We
Can
brought
you
in
see
gamers
this
to
video?
play the latest
Connection here.
cyberpunk. We haven't told them what they're playing.
Okay.
Let's see what happens when they find out.
This looks amazing.
Ray tracing is beautiful. Yeah, it's super real.
Are you
What do you
able to
think?
see the
How are you
video?
gaming? Like a 4090?
40 series?
You're actually playing on a Chromebook Plus. Wow. Streaming on GeForce Now. Oh, my God.
Yes, we can see how big government helps big dairy sell milk. We cannot hear it though. You may have to, there may be a button that says audio in the share screen that needs to be clicked.
Who's talking?
Did the video work, Dr. Stubbs, or no? The video didn't work?
I don't see anything.
Okay.
It started, but then it stopped.
Okay. Did you want me to continue on, Dr. Stubbs, or just close out?
Yes, you should continue on, Ms. Ramos.
Okay. So the video that we were showing was of multiple slides of different research of some of what you were saying in that video. It was the disparity against minorities in the dairy industry and why we joined this fight. That is the reason why we opened Honest Market. That is the reason my children are directly impacted by the disparities in that. So some of the slides I was showing, I'll include a link in the bio. If I can, I'll include a link in the bio to see if this is something that I can upload so that you all can have information to the resources. There were doctors, and I could just name those for you all to have. So some of the doctors were Dr. Milton Mills. I don't know if you all are familiar with What the Health, but he was one of the doctors that spoke in that documentary on Netflix. So Dr. Milton Mills, he is located here in the DMV area, and he's a physician. And also Dr. Mark Hyman, he's another great resource for plant-based options and helping people to make transitions into a healthier lifestyle. You also have Dr. Millett, he is a doctor at Harvard University, and he was the one that was doing the studies saying that you do not need the dairy milk to meet your daily nutritional requirements and necessities. It does not help to support bones. That has been proven. And basically what was fed to us in the entire food pyramid growing up. I think it was introduced in 1946, but what was fed to us saying that we needed about 4 to 6 cups of milk was all basically marketing because the government was overstocked with milk from the World War II. And so that is why we have a huge surplus of milk. That is why they needed milk to be pushed as a daily necessity so that they could clear all of this stock of milk, and it never went away. So basically after that, the farmers were saying, well, no, this is making good capital. And so they kept going, and now you have lobbyists, and it's a whole machine that we are fighting against. But again, as I stated earlier, I believe in doing your part, even on a small scale. I am joining those particular doctors. Of course, they have a way bigger footprint than I do, but I believe in every part matters. You know, every body part works, but it all works together to get the body to operate the way it needs to. So even though I'm a small store in Washington, D.C., we are making an impact in our community to turn minority communities and other people away from the dairy, turn the tide away from the dairy, and to pick up the plant-based options. So again, you have the cane milk, you have the flat milk. Asking the questions, she mentioned pistachios to help you get to sleep, and I wanted to ask her because I make pistachio milk. So I wanted to ask her how that could be getting the kids to sleep at night. So pistachio milk, we've made the hemp milk, the coconut hemp. You have your mature coconut and you have your young Thai coconut. Some of the other options is oat milk. That's very popular. And all of these milks can be made at home. And again, I'm a fan of making it at home. That way you know what's going in and you know what you put in it. The integrity is there. But all you need is, for the most part, I had a Vitamix blender. I have purchased some milk machines. You have the almond cow. There are other milk machines out there on the market, which was also a part of the slide presentation. But if you guys have any questions, I can put my information in the chat for you guys to review. I can also add the slides with the contact information to the articles and to the doctors that you all can reach out to if you need resources on plant-based milk options.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was a very good presentation. It was very enlightening. I have put in the chat the name of the video, How Big Government Helps Big Dairy Sell Milk, and it's on the Fox Media YouTube channel. You can just go to YouTube, put that in the YouTube search, and the video will pop up. As far as the slides, if we can talk about this afterwards, but we may be able to put that in a link on our replay page. So now I'm going to open up the floor for questions. If you have a question, please unmute your mic and let's ask some questions and see if we can get some answers. And we're going to invite Coach Aranda back, and we can ask that question that someone had at the end of Coach Aranda's talk. We'll try to cover that now.
It was me with the question. I was asking her because
okay.
I make the pistachio milk. So I wanted to know, would that even be like a good replacement if I'm giving that to my daughter, as opposed to, I'm not a big fan of giving her the melatonin vitamins and different things if
Right. Yes. I
but
agree
she
with you on
likes
that.
different foamy milks. She likes things like little lattes, plant-based lattes that I can give her to warm, or sometimes I'll do a chamomile or moon milk, which is good at night. But would the
Yes.
pistachio milk work? Would that be a good option, or once you milk it,
I
it's
would
not?
try it. I don't think it would harm. Yeah, I would try it. But yeah, I agree with you as far as over the counter. I know some of them say that they have the natural where it's natural to get, but I'm yeah. If you can avoid getting things over the counter as far as the vitamins and things like that, I would limit it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I just want to say I am a pediatrician, and I do practice conventional medicine with integrative medicine. And I want to just put a statement out there. If you have a growing child and you're thinking about switching over to plant-based milk, especially if you're planning on making your own, I highly recommend that you talk with your healthcare provider. You want to make sure that your children are getting all the nutrients they need, especially as they're growing, because the brain doesn't finish developing until 25 years of age. And a young brain needs to have certain nutrients. So if you have some thoughts about going to plant-based, I suggest that you before, and this is for anything that we're discussing as far as diet, talk with your healthcare provider. They know your health better than we do. And there may be some things that you're taking as far as your medication that even foods like omega-3s, leafy greens, they could interfere with the healthcare your health provider may be trying to give you. So always work with your healthcare provider. Could be a physician, nurse practitioner, or a physician's assistant. Now, I will admit that many of us don't have much training in nutrition. So there's a nutritionist and there are dietitians. Dietitians practice conventional medicine, but get the help you need, because as a sleep specialist, I see a lot of people, and a pediatric neurologist, I see a lot of people with nutrient deficiencies, and they have adverse outcomes. So my daughter didn't drink milk and she's fine. I think she's a genius. So I think her brain developed just fine, but I didn't do that on my own. I worked with her pediatrician. Any other comments?
I have one.
There's a question from Mr. Johnson. You speak up, please, Mr. Johnson.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I have a question when you were talking about the milk. Like, can you use any type of milk except dairy milk with flax seeds to make it? Or how do you make it?
So I'll also include in the chat in those slides. I'm having to put them in the chat one by one. But there will be recipes attached. I'm a big fan of number one, talking to your physician first to make sure the deficiencies or not the deficiencies, but the nutrients and the minerals that you specifically need. So for me and my family, we needed, my boys need the electrolytes. They're in sports, so I'm big on coconut milk. We make a lot of coconut milk here. Of hemp seed because they need the protein for the muscle building. They also need the fat because I have children that are growing, but also the older you get, you find that you don't need a lot of the protein if you're 50 or 60 because you're not pouring into something that needs to grow. And so I would say first, you would talk to your doctor, but then outside of that, they have so many recipes on YouTube University. So most of them require a blender. You would take your seed or your nuts. So for the most part, like if you're making almond milk, you can put 1 quart of water to 1 cup of almonds, and then you sweeten it with whatever works. Maple, I really recommend staying natural. So maple, or you would do dates. They have date sugar. Some people use other types of sugars, coconut sugar, but whatever. And then you do it to your tasting. But again, continue to consult with your doctor as far as the dietary parts, what nutrients you need and which milks you can get it from. And also don't depend 100% on the milk. I would also say try to look for those nutrients in your food. If you need potassium, try to get it from bananas. If you need other things, try to get it from sweet potatoes or collard greens or kale. So that's another thing too. If you can't find it in the milk, try to get it in your food.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. What about the almond milk, Jan?
Okay, Mr. Dukes has a question about almond milks. Mr. Dukes, would you repeat your question, please, so Ms. Ramos can hear?
Seed oil, milk. So can you mix it with the almond milk too? But you just have to add one of the other one.
Oh, let me see if I can understand your question. Mr. Dukes, are you asking if you can mix hemp seed powder into almond milk?
Yes, that's the question.
I have never done that before, but I don't see if it's not going to throw off anything with you, I don't see why you can't. The only thing I've mixed with hemp has been the coconut. And just, of course, making it the base of all the milks are water. But just by itself, the almonds help with your inflammation. So that's another thing too. Are you trying to mix it with the hemp because of all of the other benefits of the hemp milk? Because some of the benefits of the hemp milk are in your flax milk. So you can just make flax milk as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
So, Ms. Ramos, are you using hemp seeds or hemp powder to make the milk?
I use raw hemp seeds, organic raw hemp seeds.
Okay.
Yes.
I could answer Mr. Duke's question. I have hemp powder. It's high in protein. So I put it in my almond milk because I don't drink dairy milk, and I make myself a smoothie with it. So if I want to have like just a smoothie that I like, banana, strawberry, I put some hemp seed in there and in my almond milk. Now the hemp by itself doesn't taste very good to me. So I like to put it in there with some other, fruit. So I'm going to turn my camera off and go get my can and I'll show it to you. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Mr. Duke?
You can mix pineapple with it too, can't you?
Yes, I do that sometimes too. Do you do
and
that?
that's another thing you mentioned with the smoothies as well. If you're mixing it with smoothies, the smoothies, sometimes if I'm using almond milk, people will ask me to pour in hemp seed because they want the protein or they want the other nutrients. So in a smoothie, I've mixed all of that together. Sometimes customers come in and they ask for multiple different grains or seeds in their smoothies or in their bowls. So depends on what you need.
Yeah, I wanted to show you this hemp powder because a lot of people aren't familiar with it. And I probably got this at Costco, Kroger, or BJ's. I haven't ordered any of the hemp seed, but I think that probably would be better. I just hadn't done it. But the reason I'm adding it to my almond milk, let's see if I can show that to you. I'm adding it to the almond milk because almond milk only has about 1 gram of protein. And I'm starting to lose muscle mass. So this will give me, let me see, it's considered a complete protein. So I can't get it to quite show up, but I'll put it in the post-summit resource guide. And that's probably where we can put the slides too, so that you can see those slides. It's not showing up. It just doesn't want to show up here. But it's just a organic hemp powder. You could probably even order this online from something like Amazon. But this is a complete protein, and I'm not sure if almond milk is complete. And you need a complete protein in order to build muscle. But this has 11 grams of fiber and 11 grams of protein. And a serving size is 4 tablespoons. So this is enough. And, you know, as we get older, we tend to lose muscle mass. So you want to make sure you're getting some protein. And I'm not sure how much it's recommended now. It used to be 0.8 milligrams per kilo, but some people say you need 1 milligram per kilo. So that's where working with a dietitian would come in. If you get too much protein at one time, it is a big load and it could be damaging to your kidneys. So these are all foods, and we don't really think about them as being harmful, but even too much of a good thing may not be good for you. But this has been an excellent talk. Do we have any more questions?
Ms. Ramos, I was very impressed with your business in Washington, D.C. I think it's an excellent community resource, and I wanted to know whether or not you would feel comfortable in sharing some of your observations about working with older members of the family who are sometimes resistant to changing their dietary habits, and how that can have a negative impact on them as they're growing older. I was very touched by some of what you shared.
Sure, I don't mind. So I do have several family members in my immediate family that have some of the chronic illnesses that I'll list in the chat, which was very concerning for me. So one thing that I believe in is what starts at the top trickles down to the bottom. So if bad habits start at the top, then they trickle down to the bottom. So if we can get the better habits and doing better things to start with our older family members, then, you know, those habits will be picked up by the younger family members. And I noticed even with my family, I think I mentioned earlier that I have a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and my daughter is 6. My daughter has probably the cleanest diet out of all 3 of my children. I get more of a fight from my boys, because they know what it is to have tasted meat. They know what it is to have drank regular milk and eaten all this stuff with dairy and high fat and grease. But also have seen some of the family members in my direct family that have their health has declined. And so they can look at that and say, you know, I want to take a different path. And so for me, as I did, instead of keep coming and preaching around my family and saying, you should do this, stop, why are you eating that, put that away. I try to be the change that I want to see in the world. So if I can stop so much talking and actually being an example, maybe people will see it and be inspired to change. Me personally, on my personal journey, I was a size 16 after I had children. So a lot of times in the Black community, it's funny because we'll say, oh, you're losing too much weight. You look nice when you were thick, or you should have, but I felt horrible. Clarity of the mind just wasn't there. So I am now a size 4'6". I lost all of that weight from cutting out the milk, the dairy. At one point, I wasn't even eating the bread. Anything that broke down to sugar, I cut it out. Straight water diet, salads. I was a team sweet green, and I was juicing salads, my coconut hemp milk in the morning. In case I got hungry, I would eat the coconut hemp milk. If I felt like wanted to take care of inflammation, I would have a glass of my almond milk, and I watched my weight just shed. And during that time, I did not step foot into the gym. I am not encouraging people not to exercise, but I am encouraging people that food makes a difference. Food, what you intake, it is really important. It is medicine, and what you take in, you get out of your body. So whatever you put in it, whatever you put in your body, you get out of it. So by me doing that, my kids were way more open to like, okay, I'll eat this. And then I kind of tell them like, hey, you know, I know it doesn't taste good, but just go ahead and just get it over with. Let's get the necessary amount that we need for the day. And then, you know, if we're going to limit the trash. And then another thing I do with my older family members is I praise the strides. Like if you say, okay, hey, I didn't have 4 Pepsis today. I had 1 or I had 2. I'm going to congratulate you because to me, progress matters. Progress matters. So instead of beating people up and hitting them on the head with a stick, I try to celebrate their wins. And another thing, lastly, I will share is if you can find other family members that you can lean on for support, I would encourage that as well. Because sometimes if family feels like that you're the only one or you're the anomaly, it kind of comes off like, well, that's just something that she can do. But if it's other family members that can pick this stuff up and then you can see, well, this person did it too, or that person did it too, then it can become inspirational for change. I'm praying and I'm hoping that even some of my family members who are not doing well, that God will turn the situation around and help them to make better decisions for their health. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I had a question, Dr. Hamilton Stubbs. How did you know it was a complete protein on the hemp bottle? What did you read that let you know it was complete?
So it has all of the amino acids that are in here on the container. And when I researched hemp, that's when I found out that it is considered a complete protein. I didn't know that. So sometimes when we switch over to being a vegetarian or especially a vegan, we are not getting complete proteins. So I just looked and I was surprised because I didn't know. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yes, you did. Yeah. It's the amount of amino acids in the vegetable.
It's the type of the amino acids in the hemp seed. So you want to make sure, usually if you're eating a meat, that is a complete protein. But I don't eat very much meat. Meat is inflammatory and it flares up my arthritis. So I choose not to eat it. And I eat a little bit of it, but not very often. I don't even eat a lot of fish anymore. I have moved to eating more of a vegan diet because it makes my body feel good. And that's where each person is a little different. A vegan diet makes me feel great, but I have a friend who's a nutritionist and she has flare up of pain if she eats a lot of vegetables. So she eats a low oxalate carnivore diet.
Mm,
You have to pay attention to your own body and see what your body needs. But this is what's working for me.
okay, that helps. Thank you.
Mhm. Now,
This
A question.
Go
this
ahead.
is Edwina Richmond. I think you Ms. Ramos mentioned about sea moss that she added to her milk.
Yes,
Could you comment on that? Because
absolutely.
you
So
said
I
it was
do.
complete minerals, had a lot of minerals in it.
Yes. I do not use the Irish moss. I know a lot of times you see like the gel or you see it looks more like a seaweed. I did the powder because I started it on my daughter so young. So I started making the milk for her when she was 2 months, and I knew that was a very fragile time. And so I did the Irish moss powder. Sometimes you'll see it on the market as Irish moss. You'll see it on the market as sea moss powder. You'll see it on the market as Chandra's crispus. So I did that because it had 92 of the 102 minerals that the body needs to operate. The other mineral that you need to make up the 102 is bladderwrack. So a lot of times if you're buying sea moss or you're buying Irish moss powder or Chandra's crispus, whatever it is, and sometimes you'll see purple, the different color variations. But when you see it and it says plus bladderwrack, that bladderwrack is giving you the last few minerals that you need to make up the whole 102. And that is why I did that, because I didn't want my daughter to miss out on anything that she needed nutrient wise.
Thank you.
No
Can you
problem.
just share with us, Ms. Ramos, where do you get the sea moss powder?
So I've had to make 3 different switches. So at first there was a company called Star West Botanicals. And initially I ordered it off of Amazon. That was my favorite company. But then I started going to GNC, to the General Nutrition store, and getting it locally because I needed to be able to get it back to back once we were regularly doing pop-up shops on Sundays, and then we opened our brick and mortar. So the company was called Star West Botanicals, but there are multiple brands that you get. But I do want to warn, I am very careful with CMOS. I have received actual gel from people. I have bought and purchased CMOS from people because now everybody is like slinging this stuff like it's regular food, and it can get you sick. It is from the sea. It is literally plant algae. It can make you really sick. And so I'm careful about where I get it from. I'm careful about the distributors that I get it from. And the reason why I prefer the powder is because everybody doesn't know how to dry it up and break it down. And plus I needed it to be absorbed into the body easily, rather than having to break it down and do a gel form and all that. I can just sprinkle the amount that I needed in her milk, and it was easily digested. So I prefer the dried powdered form.
Thank you.
Dr. Stubbs, this is Adela Gray. I have a question for, I guess, Sister Ramos. And it's about older adults who have many prescriptions that we take in addition to supplements. Now, if we get on some of the, do some of the things that you mentioned, which I love to hear, how do we separate the supplements which our doctors sometimes prescribe with what we are going to try to do to make our health better? I mean, is that something we need to talk to our physicians about, or just go on and do our own thing? That's one of the questions I have, especially for myself. I have arthritis, really, really bad, and not the worst I could have, but it's not good either. So, in addition to talking to our patients, I guess we have to know what is happening with our own bodies before we even listen to what the physician said. If something comes up better for us than what the physician has suggested, how do I go about that?
Okay, so I had put a disclaimer in on the presentation that I had, and it was a medical disclaimer saying I am not a physician. I am not a doctor. I am just a mom of 3 who dealt with adverse side effects to plant-based, to dairy milks. But what I will say is, number one, I have several family members that are taking multiple medications, and then we have so many customers that walk in, and these are the questions that they have. I would never tell anybody to go against anything that your doctor is saying. What I will say is find a doctor that takes a more holistic approach. If they are just pushing things and they're telling you, for me, let me give my personal journey. So this is what I went through with my daughter. The fear mongering, when I took her to the pediatrician, the doctor actually was sitting in there yelling at me and my husband. He was very